Hi everyone, it's Peter from TurfmenUK and welcome back to the third and final part of our chat that we had with Dave Mitchell, the head groundsman at Carlisle United Football Club. In this episode, Dave will be talking about the winter of 2015 and the after effects of Storm Desmond. And as well as that, it will also be concluding with a bit of a chat about the lot of the modern day groundsmen, which I hope you will find of interest.
The last time the pitch you lost a bit of grass on it was around about 6-7, I think, after that. And from that period on, right up to the just saying before, the pitch has been consistently fantastic.
Yeah.
And the only other time that you've had effectively a natural disaster happening at your football pitch was in 2015 when Storm Desmond happened.
Yeah.
You actually, it left that much damage on the pitch that you had to resurface the pitch in its entirety.
Yeah.
So can you talk a little bit about that and the sort of timescale, what you had to do, and how long it took to bed in? Because United had got to the fourth round of the FA Cup and had drawn Everton, I think, in the FA Cup.
Yeah, hang on, give us a sec. I think. Yeah, I think we were at, where would we be in early December? Wow. I think one of the rearranged games was Yeovil in the Cup, which they played at Blackpool. Yeah. They played at Blackpool, which I think ended up in a 2-2 draw. Won the replay, which then got
I think you're right.
Was Everton the fourth round? Everton must have been the
fourth round, yeah.
Yeah, so that must have been the third round, I beg your pardon, yeah. So Desmond, when was that? 5th of December?
The Storm Desmond was 5th of December. So the FA Cup fourth round would have been towards the end of January, beginning of
30th weekend of the 30th of Jan, which was a Sunday, so 31st, yeah.
So when did you think that you were going to have to rip the pitch up and redo it
right.
all?
So basically on the Monday morning, so we had a Saturday night, Sunday was a no-go zone. Monday we managed to get in, probably when we had to sort of break police lines to get in. Look at the damage and have an assessment. I think we had a staff meeting down at the chairman's place at Pioneer on Rose Hill. So I felt that I needed to be sort of reporting back as to like what the condition, what the task was going to be like, and it was worse than 05. The water level was way higher than 05.
Right.
And then of course it all subsided pretty quickly. But where Brunton Park is, it's a bit of a sink, and then with a plug hole. So that was kind of the last bit to go. Everywhere around it, surrounding area, Brick Road and all kind of would run into there. So. By the time, the pump had packed in, we had to get a pump in to pump it away. And then, of course, sure enough, there was all kinds, Pete, where we were. I was looking at, when you've got maybe 6 inches of water left. And I got in touch with Worcester County Cricket Club because I knew they flooded quite a lot.
That's right, yeah.
And I said, look, what do you do when you get down to because I was trying to avoid the silt being left behind, when it just all settles. And they said, we pull, at the time, they might have modified it now, I don't know. Like bread baskets and stuff like that. He said, we pull them through the water, maybe just slightly weighed down a bit to churn it up.
Yeah.
And then when eventually it drains away, as in to the lowest point, it takes the silt with it.
Right, okay.
Oh my God! Right, okay. That's a cricket field. That's twice the size of what we're talking here. So if they can do that, so right, okay, is that an option? And I think we tried it for a bit, and it was like, nah, that's not gonna work. You'd have to sort of do it all, 24 round the clock kind of thing.
Yeah.
But of course, it was draining away too fast, really, by then. So after that, my big sort of take on it was that we didn't want to get left behind with the silt as we did in 05, and then you've got an absolute nightmare because it's just going to be, it was deemed contaminated.
Right, okay.
Every time you played on it and walked on it, everything would turn brown. And not only that, it's still going to be there if you don't do anything at the end of that season. And not only that, every game, like you say, I suppose we didn't know at the time, but you potentially you've got Everton in the cup. Potentially you've got the rest of your season to play, and you go, we could lose if it rained on a match day. We could lose every game, and you wouldn't even have been able to put a tractor and a verti-drain on it because it would have just
churned it,
churned the whole thing brown. It would have been an absolute disaster. So we explained all this to the board and where we needed to go with it, and it was basically if we can sort it with the insurance, then we'll take it off and re-turf. So bit by bit, got PSD in again with Gary Owen. Gary was great. Came in, samples, percolation tests, all the evidence to say, it's gone, it's rubbish. And you know what, Pete? The big frustration was it was in good nick. It was another good season. We played Crawley, probably end of November. It bucketed down, and the pitch was spot on. I think Carlisle won 3-0, so it was a good day. And that was the last game on it. And it was in good nick. We turned it over in the close season, but it was just that infiltration of rubbish.
Yeah.
So of course some of it had gone beyond reprieve. It's gone down below what you'd corrow off with the machine at the end of a season. So anyway, it was all agreed, and then I should have done the homework, shouldn't I? I think it was somewhere around the 4th of January.
Yeah.
We started corrowing off the rubbish.
Yeah.
It was absolutely disgusting. It stunk.
Yeah.
Corrowed that off, got that as clean as possible. There was still infiltration into the profile, which we're still living with even now. Yeah. Turned it over once with the power harrow, levelled it with the Harley rake, ready for the turf, fertiliser, and then we pro-cord ahead of the turf, kind of one row at a time after they'd done the headland with one side. But of course, because obviously we had to have a choice with turf. So the two choices were a fibre sand pitch, or a fibre turf, which didn't really have that good a record when it came to returfs at the time.
And this is in January.
So there's everything. There's the weather. There's not
frost.
We didn't get any frost, so we were lucky there. But we did get rain, which you have to hold your hands up and accept. So we'll look at a fibre sand pitch, right? So we start looking at fibre turf, right? Where's there any fibre turf in the UK? Okay, down the east side, Lincolnshire. So myself and a work colleague went down, had a look. There was only enough fibre turf for, what do you call it? Just over half a pitch. And I thought, right, okay. But what they did have in plentiful supply was what they describe as a soil-based turf, which is don't get us wrong, it's not a Cumbrian clay heavy soil. It's a Lincolnshire fines silty
loamy.
Yeah. So, right, where do we go with this? The last of their fibre had just gone to Paris to do a returf in the Stade de France.
Right.
So
right. Okay.
It's the only thing them French have beat us at. They've got to the first.
Got there before us.
Yeah. So I had to make a decision on that. So instead of going for what you might say, well, just get a soil-based turf for the whole pitch, I was very concerned about a soil-based pitch in the heavy wear areas in the middle of the pitch.
Yeah.
I thought, right, tell you what we'll do, based on that it was all going to come off at the end of the season. We'll fibre turf what you might call width of the box, length of the pitch.
Yeah.
Okay, so 44 yards.
Yeah.
Length of the pitch, and then we'll put soil-based turf on the flanks. Right. So that's what we did. That's what we did. The haulage was we obviously used Stobarts with the connections there through the club boardroom and all the rest of it, and they just kept coming, one wagon load after wagon load after wagon load. Talbot's, Sports Turf Services did it. I've known Sean. Sean was involved with the pitch build back in 2006. Obviously, they've been doing pitch returfs mid-season, bread and butter to them kind of thing.
Yeah.
When they finished at Carlisle, they went to Watford, I remember, and then after Watford, they went to Cardiff. So it was a program. It's not so much now because pitches have improved, obviously, but
and in all this, while all this was going on, I think United only lost 3 games.
Yeah,
home fixtures where they had to play elsewhere.
Yeah,
does that sound about right?
Yeah, they had 3 games.
Yeah.
We went to Preston to play Notts County, sort of maybe mid-December.
Yeah.
We went to Blackburn to play Plymouth, and we went to Blackpool to play Yeovil,
which was the cup game.
Yeah, and then we'd said, or I think the club had agreed with the Football League. Obviously, we retail from the pitch, and then they said, right, we're back at home on the 23rd of January against York City. And you were like, wow. By the time we'd all, don't get us wrong, but I think there was a team of 15 of us on the pitch. Myself, the 2 lads that were working with me at the time, and the Talbot lads, who, what a team. I mean, we got a team photograph taken when it was finished, and it's really good. Everybody just got on, everybody cracked on. We were helping them, they were helping us, all the rest of it. Got it done. And then, of course, I was saying to everybody else, right, we're ready. Are you ready? But at the same time, there was an army of volunteers in, fans sweeping up the horrible chocolate icing stuff and washing places out and repainting and new doors, and so everything up to 12 feet. Was to pressure wash down, clean out, redo, and it was done. And then we got moving again against York. Pitch played okay. We call it a little block of death. The block of death, where the turf, the fibre turf wasn't brilliant, and it kept kind of coming out a little bit, lumps. So we had to do a fair bit of repair work on that block. After every game, kind of thing. But overall, it played really well. And by the time we got some warm weather in March, we totally overloaded it with fertilizer underneath, top feeding with granulars and liquids. But what you'll know, Pete, is that when you turf farm turf, it's got fescue in it. Because they use the fescue to keep it, the roots to keep it together so it doesn't fall apart. So of course the fescue was just dying out by the minute almost, So we'd rubber rake the pitch after a game and then hoover it up, and it was just getting thinner and thinner and thinner. So we overseed it. But like I said, by the time some warm weather came, it was absolutely,
I remember
it was absolutely fantastic at the end of the season.
The final cup. I went to the final game of the season. And I was looking at the pitch and I was thinking, can't believe this. This was laid in January in the northwest of England. And it's managed to not just survive, but it was actually looking. I mean, there was nowhere in the goal mouths. You looked at it, it was just like a carpet.
Don't get me wrong. It was almost a bit of a luxury, really, because you started with 100% grass cover in January, rather than
I suppose, but
50%. Once all the trauma was over, it was like, right, this is absolutely fantastic because we've got 100% grass cover on this pitch. It looked a little bit patchy because one bit of turf was a bit yellower than the one that was put next to it and bits like that, but it soon grew in. And it wasn't long before you couldn't lift. You would check the roots and you couldn't lift it up. I mean, it was starting easily by the time they played the first game on it. So overall, the whole thing there was just a fantastic experience to get to be involved with that. But a lot of hours, a lot of organising. But very, very
rewarding.
Very fulfilling.
I mean, you think that the football club had Everton at home, and they were able to play that fixture at home in front of the TV cameras after a month and a half before they hadn't got a pitch to play on. That to me is just staggering, really, in relation to sort of knowing how sports turf is managed, especially in the northwest of England, where you're up against a lot more in relation to sort of environmental conditions and weather than you are, say, for example, and this is not having to go at anybody anywhere else, but in the southeast and the southwest where it's warmer, you don't get the same levels of rainfall. So I mean, really, yeah, no, all credit to have pulled that one off, because it takes a lot of balls to be able to think about, you're right, I'm going to do it, and that's where it might have. But you'd probably say, well, I had no choice, but it still takes a lot of, especially with the winters that you'd had before, where if you'd have got frost, if you'd have got too much rainfall, or the weather conditions hadn't played ball with you, you would probably have struggled. But,
oh yeah, I've got a picture of it when we left it on a Friday, and then we started again on the Monday morning with the turf. On the Friday, we'd got it to a stage where we'd power harrowed it up, leveled it with the Harley stone rake, and that was it, left, and it absolutely bucketed down. And I've got a picture of it, and you'd think it was a lake. Absolutely. But you use it to your advantage, because you look at it and you go, right, well, it's not draining very well. So it's not draining very well. That's not draining as well as it would have done after that Crawley game prior to Desmond. Right? So you look at that and you go, right, so there's the contamination right there off that silt that we didn't get it all out, and now it's been ploughed in. We knew it was going to happen, but we didn't have any other option. But we could have revisited that at a later date, but we never have yet. And it's a great picture, because it's just like, look, and then yet on the Monday morning we come in and we flick it up with the Harley rake, Procore, fertilizer, bang, and the turf's going down. And this is at 6 o'clock in the morning, floodlights on, and away we go.
Wow. Yeah.
So, it was good. But I tell you what, I will just say, Pete, during the planning, and I'm not name dropping here, but I'm ringing Darren Baldwin at Tottenham about advice on turf and
right.
And I rang Keith Kent at Twickenham, because I know he'd done Old Trafford many times when he was there, and also his experience at Twickenham in terms of returfs and all the rest of it, and just absolute mines of information. Don't do that, but do that. Don't do that. Things like Keith. I think Keith said, ask them at the turf farm if they'll vertidrain it before they lift it, to get some holes in it. Because it's a returf, the roots aren't going to be that stable for maybe, I don't know, 6, 8, 10 weeks. So you're not going to be able to dirty drain it. Yeah, once you've got it.
Makes perfect sense.
Do it now. Things like that. So just unbelievable advice. Advice.
But then you've got to have the wherewithal to be able to understand that you need to be able to sort of draw on those sort of contingencies. But it's having the wherewithal yourself to be able to sort of go out and seek sort of help from people. Being able to put hang your ego at the door, and this, what are your experiences? How do I get through this? Because it's the first time I've experienced it. So I don't think it gets enough credit, really. That from Storm Desmond right through until the end of the season, and then from that period on, the pitch has been. And I imagine, I don't know I don't want to sort of touch on your financial budgets or anything like that, but I imagine from when you started to where you're at now, as with lots of football clubs at the lower levels, because of lacks of, you're not getting the money dripped down from the Premier League as probably much as you would like, that probably budgets have been cut over time, and you're having to sort of rely on yourself to get the work done, where you would probably have. I'm just surmising here. I don't know. I'm asking the question. You have more members of staff.
Less staff myself. So what? 2016 to 20. So 5 years later, you've gone from. Crikey, maybe we would have maybe 6 and 7 staff on a Monday morning. Some on turf, some on.
And that's to do what?
To maintenance.
Is that to do the first team pitch? Training pitch?
Well, it varies really. It goes around the calendar wherever we can seek a pitch out to train on sometimes. So maybe anything up to 5 and 6 pitches.
Okay.
Not all on one site. So we needed to invest in transport and to get us there, that kind of stuff. But in terms of Brunton Park, you're down. There's myself and a bit of part-time work now, and we've not since it was returfed, we never took all the turf off. For the 40 mil that went down, we never took it off. We've taken off, well, we've tried to take off like 10, 15, 20 millimeters every time we've scraped it off. One season we didn't do anything. So there's still remnants of the turf, and there's also still remnants of the silter from the flood.
Yeah.
And so the drainage is just, it's slowing down all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, a fibre sand pitch like that, if you get 20 years out of it, you've probably done well.
Mm.
And I think we'll be on 06.
Yeah.
06, 7. So we're on 2020. What are we on? 2021.
Yeah.
So whatever that is, 14. Is that 14 or more? Maybe 15.
14, 15 years. Yeah.
So
that's 4.5. Yeah.
So that's where we are with it, really. So
yeah.
But it like you said, with budgets and that, but again, you kind of make a rod for your own back because it's decent. The perception is that it doesn't need much doing to it.
Yeah.
And therefore, it doesn't help the argument. But you can, there comes a point where you've got a balanced view, and you say, right, well, there's very little money, so I'll take what I can, without sort of jeopardizing jeopardizing the season, kind of thing, trying to avoid a disaster.
Yeah. I mean, there is a tipping point. I found this where I've worked. There's a tipping point with budgets where once it's reached and you start going down the other side, you're having to make you can't do your job properly, and it's a difficult situation to be in, really, because you've then got to manage people's expectations, and it's almost like you're firefighting with people's expectations as well. You're still using the contingencies you've got in from your experience to do the job as well as you can, but that'll only get you so far, because one of my old bosses said to me was that never underspend on your budget, because they'll expect you to do your job for the price that you've done.
I have a thing with football whereby if you weigh up what the playing side gets, which if you budget, your overall cost is 100%. The playing side gets, God knows, 90-something% probably.
Yeah.
So you kind of think, right, I think that the turf side, the playing side, deserves whatever it gets, plus whatever it needs, really, whatever it needs to be sustainable for a year, for a season, till we come back to it again. But overall, to make some improvement, so that you're not just going around in circles every year.
Yeah.
And that's the hardest part. That's the hardest part in, like I say, in 15, nearly 16 years, you're still putting your wellies on to go and inspect the drain, or have a walk up and go and see what it looks like, because you think I'm going to get wet feet if I go there, dressed like this, kind of thing. So you think, right, the progress is zero. Time is zero. So you're like, right, where there's been times, Pete, where you look at Brunton Park and you'll go, right, I tell you what, how about we spend next to nothing on Brunton Park and we make the training pitch better?
Yeah.
Where's that going to leave us? Where's that going to leave us in a bad winter?
Yeah.
So.
But I can see the foresight in that, and then you get a good training pitch, and you reduces the wear on the first team pitch. They don't want to train on the
potentially, but I can tell you that once you get a manager that likes to train on the pitch, it becomes habitual, not because it's necessary, because everywhere else is rock hard or waterlogged.
Yeah.
You see what I mean? Or
Absolutely.
We don't go on for artificial pitches, because it's bad for knees and hips and joints and all that kind of thing. So that's what
do you find it? Do you have that conversation? You don't need to
conversations with
managers.
Yeah, I'll have it once, and I don't revisit it, because I've said all my points, and I don't need to say it.
Yeah.
And the proof will be in what you see on the pitch. It's simple. It's simple. You do. Even at Premier League level, for all the fact that they are they've got a lot of shading, but then they've also got the lights to compensate for that.
Yeah.
You throw 3 games a week on anywhere in the Premier League, and you and me, I'll spot it straight away.
Yeah.
Then you put that on a League Two pitch on minimal budget, minimal staff. Yeah, we get fertilizers. Yeah, we'll probably get enough of what we need, and it goes downhill. It's as simple as that. So what the point I'm making is even at the very top level, it's not easy.
No. It brings it up.
The biggest help is, I always say, you could probably do in a good season, average weather, good routes, and a turnover, plough it up in May and reseed. If you have all that, you could probably play 1 game every 7 to 10 days, and you'll get through a season.
Yeah.
So you average that with, right, there's a couple of weeks there where we've had 3 games, and then you'll go home away. You can just about work that. But when you get training sessions coming in to reduce that gap of recovery, and when you get FA Youth Cup, and when you get County Cup, that kind of stuff, it's just it struggles.
Yeah.
If you haven't got the investment in May, the turnover, the fresh fibre sand, some slow release fertilizer mixed in with it all, your fertilizer still coming in from the top. You don't get all that, and you don't have the staff to go on and do 2 hours work to rotary all the bits up. You could, on a decent pitch, Pete, you can rotary it up in an hour and a half with the little mowers that we have, 3 of us, and you could have played on it again. No problem.
Yeah.
No problem at all. You add into that 7 days recovery, do the divots, a bit of liquid, a bit of iron, a bit of whatever, and you're off and running again.
Yeah.
But when you haven't got all that, and the key, some of the biggest part is the recovery. And even if you've got match, training, match, everybody could be different. But for me, I don't even want to go on there with a roller when it's damp, wet or whatever, because the grass, you bring back up for you, and then you flatten it again.
Yeah.
And then you do it again and again, and it's sort of like, look, pal, I can't. I'm trying to spring back for you, but I'm doing my best. But you keep kicking me down,
Yeah. I think after 16 years, and the proof's been in the pudding, that you know the land that you work on.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you know what it'll stand and what it won't stand. Whether you're allowed to facilitate the job properly with the contingencies you've got is a completely different matter to what you're faced with on a daily basis. Because you can walk into work anybody can walk into any job any morning and not know what they're going to face. But it certainly helps if you've got the contingencies there to do the job properly and you're allowed to do the job properly. So I can imagine if your windows are decreasing because of the volume of wear on the pitch, your staffing levels are down, your budgets are down. Can be really, really difficult, I imagine, to maintain the quality of the pitch. And certainly for me, from my perspective, when I left Keswick, it was retaining my desire to do the job because I couldn't really see how I was going to improve it. So there are and especially with something like the lockdown being on as well, because match days are different. There's not that many more people around the club. I don't know whether that'd be right or not, but you can't physically interact with people. You don't have that sort of work banter, or you don't have that.
I don't have much contact with anybody at the best of times.
Best keep out the way.
Yeah, it's been look on one hand, if you work in what they call in elite sport and football and perhaps cricket, I'm not sure. We've been lucky enough that we've not much has changed work wise in terms of getting up and going to work and doing the job. I mean, where were we? So last March you were coming to the end of the season and you were sort of thinking, right, is there a window to start renovation early here? i.e. the season won't finish. But the biggest problem was, and it was difficult, but the lack of direction coming from the FA, the EFL, whereby is it going to continue or is it not going to continue? You know, they would, how can I put it? They would say something, but they didn't say anything. If you see what I mean.
No, completely. Yeah.
A statement would go out, and you're like, well, that still doesn't mean that I can ring the contractor in the morning, kind of thing, you know. And everybody was on standby. Can I get a contractor anyway? Are they going to work? They were, you know, they can work safely. It's outdoors. They were all raring to go, you know. So, right, middle of March, April, we could do this like a month in advance, which gives us if the season gets cancelled, or even if the season is delayed and we come back and finish it in, I don't know, May.
Yeah,
we could have done the renovation and played on a brand new pitch, and then go into a closed season to start again. Well, we wouldn't have had a window to do anything, you see. So we would have had it done. But as things turned out, the season was finished. We got some renovation done, and then we started. Well, we didn't start till September, so that was okay.
Little bonus, really.
Yeah, I mean, and the Championship and the Premier League, they probably, I don't know. I know some clubs, you know, decided to do very little. So, you know, we are where we are, and they are where they are now. And you know, you're looking at the odd pitch, and you're thinking, yeah.
And now we've come on to where we're at to the present day, is that because of the weather that we've had, United have had a lot of postponements, COVID as well. There's a number of issues in the first team squad. So now you're left with a backlog of fixtures. How many home games have you got left now? 10.
10, I think.
To fit in before the middle of May?
Yeah. The first Saturday in May is the last home game.
Right.
Or last game of the season, anyway. Yeah. So I think there's only one Tuesday that doesn't have a game.
Yeah. You can. Yeah.
Between now
and so in relation to sort of if that's going to be the case for fixture congestion, how will the first team play on the first? Will they play at Brunton, practice on Brunton Park? Sorry, or will they? Is the practice pitch just be like behind the back of the waterworks? Is that available to them?
It depends how wet it is, really, or what the manager wants to do. He's in the habit of training on the stadium pitch now, so you don't expect anything. You don't really expect anything less than that now. So just have to live with it. Listen, they play on it. They play on it, and I think when you've been doing it as long as I have, as long as we have, you sort of say, right, well, I can do my best between now and the end of the season. Then hopefully we get some budget and we start afresh.
Yeah.
But then you know, you get dragged into next season and think, crikey me, we're going to have the same regime again. You know.
Yeah, no, I completely get it. Yeah.
You know, because virtually all your improvement would go into the stadium and nothing else. You know, so
no, it's just a sort of highlight some of the problems that you face as a greenkeeper or a groundsman. People turn up on a Saturday, pay the money, look at the football. Obviously the football supporters are not pitch supporters, but they see sort of the canvas that the players, you know, produce the performances on. The better the facility that they've got to play on, the better the product. Then they produce better football. It's value. You get better value for money as a supporter. So it all ties in together. And I think it's sort of the groundsman's position in a football club is so massively underrated in relation to sort of. And I always find it amazing that you're not headhunted in relation to moving up to sort of. That's because to me, you know, if you're a good footballer, you get signed to move up the pyramid, but it doesn't seem to be the case in greenkeeping or sport or groundsman's jobs, does it at all?
Too much to say. Too much to say, Pete. That's a bit terrible, isn't it?
All right, okay, mate. No.
When you've got a professional attitude.
Yeah, of course. You know, maybe.
Yeah. It's I don't know. No, I'm not. Look, I can where we live. Well, you're even closer than me. I can leave my house, and within 1 hour 45, I can be at the top of Blencathra. So why would
Yeah,
it?
but, yeah.
You know what I mean? What
We live in an amazing part of the world. We do.
what value can you put on that?
Yeah.
You know. So yeah, yeah. I've often thought about, if you'd been somewhere else, what would you do on a Sunday afternoon, kind of thing, And
No.
when I can get off the couch and, like I say, or do a bit of gardening and then go into the lakes. It's just,
Yeah. No, it's fantastic. No, look, we'll end it there for tonight if that's all right, because it's just been. I could sit and talk all night because I just find you fascinating to talk to. It's just been an absolute pleasure. Hopefully, if you don't mind, get you back on late. I'd like to do something more specific about a pitch preparation and sort of your annual programs for preparing pitches and things like that we touched on, but we haven't had the opportunity to go into in much depth tonight. But just an absolute star, Dave. Thanks ever so much for your time, mate. There's nothing that you want, any questions or anything that you need to.
I can talk
bit of housekeeping.
Well, yeah. I'll chat all night.
Yeah,
could chat all night about it, really, couldn't we? No, we should have a pitch. I sit on the what we call the Playing Surfaces Committee with various other bodies. Darren from Tottenham does the Premier League. I do Football League. Groundsman side of things, EFL, PFA are in it, FA are in it, Premier League are on the table. So we just, whatever's topical at the time, really, we back lots of stuff around the table. And when you get to, Darren's level at Premier League level, you just you realise just what is going on in the football world that you wouldn't otherwise know about. It's just unbelievable where the different kind of things that they've got to deal with even at Premier League level, where they've got one of the best training facilities for football in the world, one of the best stadiums in the world, and yet there's still issues.
That's down to education more than often than not, isn't it? Getting people to understand how sort of specialised our jobs are.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean the Tottenham Stadium. I mean, the thinking processes and the thought that's gone into it. And, the research. The travelling to America and back to look at stadiums and what works and what doesn't work and all that. Just fascinating, but pretty draining. I should think. But, ultimately, once it's done, it's like wow.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a couple of lads that I know that have been to the new White Hart Lane, and they said it's absolutely amazing. And obviously, they can move the Premier League pitch out and slide an NFL pitch in there for the NFL games that unfortunately haven't been able to have this year. But I mean, it's another level altogether, and there are another sort of more money, more problems, if you will. But my hat goes off to anybody because I know how, from a personal point of view, how difficult the job can be at times and how very underappreciated you can be. And, certainly what you've done at United over the years has been, I know it's had recognition, but it deserves more.
So that concludes our chat we had with Dave. I hope you've all enjoyed it and found it enlightening. Just a big thank you to Dave for giving up a good 2 hours of his time one evening to chat with us and talk about all aspects of his career and his time at Carlisle United. Hopefully, in the coming months, we'll get Dave back on to chat about his end of season renovation work that he does on a football pitch, as well as his match day preparations. So once again, thanks again for watching. If you've enjoyed the videos, please leave a like on them and subscribe to the channel as well. And if you've got any comments and want to interact with us, please leave your comments in the comment boxes below. And until next time, thanks again for watching. Take care, everyone, and goodbye.